Hey everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Makeda, Voletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a background in exercise and sports science and nutrition science. That's what I did my undergraduate work and then graduate work in applied physiology and nutrition. And I am committed to studying all the ways that we can take our body to its highest level. My approach to fitness, to strength training, to nutrition is very holistic. I'm also a doula. I'm a USA Olympic weightlifting coach. I'm a lot of things that has to do with the body. And then I'm also starting a program, a Master of Science program in medical cannabis science and therapeutics in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. So those of you who follow me, you may have noticed that me speaking about the medicinal properties of cannabis over the past maybe 4 years, and a lot lately. I've done a lot lately because I've been on this learning spree. And I'm going to tell you, the more I study cannabis science and cannabis as medicine, I start to, and just understanding the endocannabinoid system, okay, I should do a video about that. But there's plenty of YouTube videos about endocannabinoid systems. I highly recommend that you look it up. But the more that I study that, the more that it takes me back to nutrition, right? To nutrition science. A lot of people, good evening, a lot of people don't realize that nutrition is all biochemistry and organic chemistry, okay? I see so many people speak on nutrition as if they know what they're talking about, whether it be other healthcare practitioners like doctors and nurses, even maybe herbalists or pharmacologists or fitness instructors and trainers. None of those people are nutritionists, okay? And nutrition is its own study in science, just like exercise physiology, okay? A doctor is also not an exercise physiologist. Exercise physiologists study exercise and disease states, like how it's just like how certain exercises medicine, for one. Like if somebody has certain metabolic issues, how does the exercise need to be structured because of that, or what affects your body, you know, when you're, how your body's affected when you're going up in the highest altitudes, or, you know, way below sea level, way below underwater, hundreds of feet. Like, it's just different things, the physiology of exercise, okay? So that could be exercise and disease. It can be how it affects our hormones, all of that, right? So that's not what doctors specialize in. And so if somebody is dealing with something, like they are diabetic, or they have bad knees and a bad back, or they have too much body fat, and the doctor could say, oh, just exercise. Everybody here is just exercise. But all exercise is not good exercise. Some exercise is detrimental and counterproductive. You don't ever want to do things that is causing you to get worse. Like your goal is to lose body fat, but the exercises that you're doing is increasing it and decreasing your muscle, you know, or increasing knee injuries, because, you know, so there's all those things. And so doctors, that's not their specialty. So when I was in school, you know, like nutrition, I remember when I was in my graduate program at Teachers College at Columbia University, the nutritional biochemistry, I took it in undergrad, but the graduate level class I took, I remember the professor, he also taught the medical students at Columbia their biochemistry. Pharmacologists, medical doctors, and nutritionists all take biochemistry. We just learn it from different angles, okay? And biochemistry is all about pathways, like metabolic pathways. And, you know, you might learn there are scientific terms for things that is not what the general public uses, like the term vitamin A. Vitamin A is a generic term that the public uses, but scientifically, there's like several different chemical forms of vitamin A with different names. Same thing with vitamin D, vitamin E, you know. So when you're learning it in biochemistry, it's, you know, you're using the scientific names, and if you don't have, if you are a medical student or a pharmacy student, you may not know that arachidonic acid, okay, which are endocannabinoids are made from, which is something that most pharmacologists and doctors don't learn anyway about the endocannabinoid system. But I'm just giving an example of a pathway. They might see that this equation is, you know, these endocannabinoids are made from arachidonic acid. But what is arachidonic acid? A lot of times, the pharmacologist And the medical students, they don't learn, what is it? Well, arachidonic acid is a fat. It's a fatty acid that's only found in animal fats. Only found in animal fats, okay? It's found in liver, in egg yolk, small quantities in butter, and maybe some, like the muscle meat, tallow, okay? And arachidonic acid helps to keep the tight junctions in our gut strong, okay? It's really important to have a strong, healthy gut. And gut health is something that I've been studying since the maybe late 90s, or really since like I got out of college in like 2004, okay? It was when I got really serious about it. I was already into like bacteria and microbiomes in high school. But once I got out of college and I took microbiology, I really got into that. And gut health is something I've been very much aware of for the past 20 years. And maintaining a good microbiome, your immune system starts in your gut. Okay, I have videos where I talk about that more in depth. I'm not going to get super in depth about that now because I want to stay on topic. But let me just say, gut health is critical. Okay? And the same thing is good for your gut is good for your skin. But it's important to maintain those tight junctions and have a healthy gut. Arachidonic acid is critical for that. But also, you know, when it comes to using cannabis as medicine, right? Look, again, I don't have a whole lot of time. I'm not going to get super in depth about how the endocannabinoid system works in this video. I will do a video simply on that soon. I do talk about it a little bit in all the videos that I do. And if you go on YouTube and you put in endocannabinoid system, you will see plenty of videos that explain it. But basically, you know, in our body, we have a circulatory system. We have a muscular system. We have a pulmonary system. We have an immune system, right? We also have an endocannabinoid system. There are receptors, CB1 and CB2 receptors, all over our body, all over our organs, right? And the ligands that bind to it, ligands are what binds to those receptors, is anandamide and 2-AG, which are endocannabinoids. They're cannabinoids that our body makes, okay? And THC is a phytocannabinoid coming from plants, but it binds to the same receptors as the anandamide and 2-AG, okay, which are the endocannabinoids, all right? Our body produces endocannabinoids on the spot. Our neurons do. Our neurons fire. They produce them on the spot when we have something stressful that happens or anything like that. And what endocannabinoids do, or phytocannabinoids, they bind to the CB1 and CB2 receptors, and they help to bring homeostasis to an imbalance. Whether that imbalance be too much pain, or too much inflammation, or too much trauma stress, okay? Or, you know, yeah, all those things, right? Overactive immune system, right? It helps to balance and bring those systems back into homeostasis without causing addiction and without causing suppression of systems that end up causing suppression of natural systems that end up backfiring on you. Like when you take a lot of pharmaceuticals, they can be addictive, and then they are blocking certain things. Instead of bringing the body back into homeostasis, it's doing something that's taking the body further away from homeostasis. It's not focused on getting to the root of the issue and balancing it out. It's more about blocking things, okay, and can lead to other issues. So, so with that being said, I'm going to say that a lot of the people that I've come across who are really into cannabis medicine are also preaching veganism. Now, those of you who follow my work, some of you have been following me for years, some of you are new, but you know, over the years I've been speaking I've been speaking probably for like, what year is this, 2022? I probably started becoming vocal about it in like 2008 or something, because over the years, as a practitioner, as a nutritionist, as a trainer, I've seen people do a lot of damage doing vegan diets for a certain amount of time. And so I've observed that. I've helped a lot of people. But also just me studying, people talk about studying the science, the biochemistry, or understanding the physiology of the brain, right? Not always my approach to the body. If anybody has any health issues or imbalances, I'm always asking, why does that person have that imbalance? Now, with the endocannabinoid system, okay, and I've also said this too, nutrition is the foundation. Plants, herbal medicine, I'm going to answer that question, Jessica. Hold on, let me write it down so I don't forget. Hold on. I don't want it to throw me off. So herbal medicine is good, and I believe in using herbs, but I always believe that the herbs assist, and the foundation is nutrition, right? So when you have people who have too much anxiety, or they can't concentrate, or they're having depression, or just mental issues, okay? Maybe that person just had a baby, maybe not, okay? But people who struggle with that, studies show that people who have a diet that's low in saturated fat, especially long chain saturated fat, which is what we need for our brains, okay? The short chain saturated fat, which is in coconut oil, short and medium chain, they're great. They're good for your immune system. They're good for helping you to burn fat, but they are not what you need for your brain, okay? For your brain, you need long chain saturated fats, and those are only in animal foods. You also need long chain omega-3 fats, and those are only in animal foods, okay? The EPA and DHA is not in plants. There is a different chemical form of omega-3 in plants. It is different, okay? So those are the long chains. You also need cholesterol, okay? All of our hormones are made from cholesterol, and cholesterol are hormones and messengers. They're made from cholesterol. Vitamin D also made from cholesterol. So if you're not consuming, and you need saturated fat to absorb vitamin D, and let's think about how brilliant nature is, that the foods that are high in vitamin D are also high in fat, okay? Whole fat, raw milk, and dairy, cheese. You have seafood, shellfish, high in fat and cholesterol and vitamin D, okay? You have lard. You have butter, ghee. All those things are high in saturated fat as well. And cholesterol, okay? They all work together, all right? And when it comes to the brain function and how the brain sends signals, it's all about the cholesterol and the long chain, omega-3, omega-6, because arachidonic acid is actually an omega-6 fat, okay? And not all omega-6 fats are the same. It's a particular omega-6 fat, all right? So our endocannabinoids are made from arachidonic acid, which is omega-6, which comes only from animals. But then there are these other cannabinoids called epoxides that are made by the long chain omega-3s, okay? So on either way, it's long chain omega-3 and omega-6 fats from animals, all right? That's needed. And then cholesterol, because just like we have cannabinoid receptors all over our body and every cell, the same thing is true of vitamin D. Vitamin D and cannabinoids are very similar in a lot of ways. They both love fat, need to be consumed with fat. They both control and modulate so many systems in our body and help balance it and bring it back into homeostasis, right? So there are a lot of health problems that people have, that there are a lot of health issues that the scientists and the medical professionals who are studying the endocannabinoid system more, there are certain issues that they'll say this particular health problem, this particular disease state is because of a malfunctioning endocannabinoid system. It's because of somebody whose endocannabinoid system is not functioning properly, right? So now this cannabis is helping to, because the THC binds to the CB1 and CB2 receptors. So this person is not producing their own endocannabinoids when they're supposed to in adequate quantities. And again, those endocannabinoids are arachidonic acid and 2-AG, okay, that bind to the CB1 and CB2 receptors. So this person is not producing them. So now we have to go, help have the cannabis assist. Well, my question is, why do you have an endocannabinoid deficiency to begin with, right? Why do you have an endocannabinoid system deficiency to begin with? And that can only go back to, okay, you're not producing enough endocannabinoids. And also, and I'm not going to get too scientific about it in this video, but also the receptors for the endocannabinoids also is modulated by the saturated fat and cholesterol. So you're not producing enough endocannabinoids, there's not binding, you're having an endocannabinoid system deficiency. Well, let's look at your diet. What kind of fats are you eating? Are you eating a lot of egg yolks, liver, butter? And butter has a little bit of arachidonic acid and omega-3. But butter has a lot more butter and ghee has more butyric acid, which actually helps to feed the good bacteria in the gut, which is also critical on so many levels. Okay, but the arachidonic acid definitely in the egg yolks, definitely in the liver, definitely in the tallow. Okay, a little bit in dairy. Okay, so you need to consume those in high quantities. And then you have, with the long-chain omega-3s, you don't want to consume fish oil. A lot of people think, oh, I need omega-3s, I'm going to consume fish oil. No. You want to consume a high-quality cod liver oil. Because fish oil is a commercial byproduct from the food industry that is rancid, okay? It doesn't have vitamin A and vitamin D in it. It can actually cause you a lot of harm. But if you get a good quality cod liver oil, and I recommend a fermented one, that has vitamin A and vitamin D, and very high quality omega-3s, okay? So yeah. So now I'm seeing people like, okay, so we know that the endocannabinoids, which help balance the systems, are made from these animal fats. And if you look it up, if you look at my Instagram page, I have books and studies and other videos about other interviews about the fact that people who consume a very low cholesterol, low saturated fat diet, animal fat diet, have more depression, more mental issues, more anxiety, okay? And if you're having allergies, right? If you have allergies, if you can't digest, some people are like, oh, I can't digest this, I can't digest that, I can't, like digestive issues, those are a sign, okay? Not only of a imbalance of bacteria in your gut, okay? But it's also a sign of leaky gut, okay? Which is when people have allergies. That means, like, we all have this yeast inside of our intestines called candida. And if we don't have enough good bacteria, that yeast can grow out of control. It's harmful when it's kept in check and balanced. But when people don't have enough good bacteria, their microbiome is weak, that yeast can go out of control. It grows branches and punctures holes in your intestines. That causes certain foods and stuff to leak through into your blood, and thus you have allergies, okay? So people who have all these allergies, all these digestive issues, and then you look at the skin, look at the condition of the skin too. But those are all signs of like deficiencies of arachidonic acid, imbalance of gut, which they're all interconnected, right? And so, okay. So I think I was talking about the actress that passed away, Olivia Newton-John, I think her name was. I don't know much about her, but may she rest in peace. I don't know much about her, but something popped up in my feed that said she was using cannabis to treat her breast cancer, and then I look it up, and I see this article that was saying that her husband was creating cannabis products for her, and her daughter had a cannabis farm. And so that means that if she had been using it for the past 5 years, was an advocate of it, but also I think it was her third time having cancer. So when I saw this, I thought to myself, because cannabis is very effective at killing cancer cells and killing cancer, okay? So to me, I'm like, if you have your husband making it, your daughter has a farm, that means it's really good quality. Why didn't it work? That was my question in my mind. And then I thought, the voices in my head was like, she's probably a vegan. And I look it up, and lo and behold, she is a vegan, right? And again, like I said, a lot of people in this cannabis space, I see promoting low saturated fat diet, low cholesterol, plant-based diet. When, let me tell you something, if you look at any traditional herbalist, I don't care if they're African, I don't care if they're Chinese, I don't care if they're Native American from Mexico, any traditional herbalist, traditional ones, not the fakers, okay, like Sadie. Traditional, real deal herbalists, okay? They all eat animal foods. Okay? They're not like, oh, the plants have medicinal properties. Now I'm gonna eat a plant-based diet. No. Because first of all, yeah, the plants have medicinal properties, but so do the animal foods. Nothing can heal your gut like broth and your immune system. Bone broth. And there is no plant substitute for bone broth. Another one of those things is butyric acid, which is high in butter and ghee. Okay? Butyric acid feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Very good people with gut problems. Okay, helping to maintain the microbiome. All right. You even have raw milk. You know, depending on what's going on, like if somebody has a serious gastrointestinal issue, they may have issues digesting it. But raw milk is actually very easy to digest because a lot of good bacteria, which is good for your digestion and good for your gut and your immune system. There's a lot of good bacteria in raw milk, along with a whole bunch of enzymes, the lactase enzyme, the amylase enzyme, the lipase enzyme, and a whole bunch of nutrition. Okay? That can also be very, very good and beneficial. All right? And there's no plant-based substitute for any of that. Right? So I'm just going to wrap this up. I'm just going to wrap this up. But my whole point is, I did a video a few days ago about did you know our endocannabinoids are made from animal fats? I did that video a few days ago. You can also check that out as well. But I have seen people. Okay, so wait, before I wrap this up, I'm gonna say I've seen people who were like on like these strict vegan diets die too soon, especially from stuff like cancer. Okay, because when it comes to bone broth, right, especially bone marrow broth, okay, there's a lot of components in it that is super immunobuilding, period, point blank. Okay, and God, I'm just losing train of thought of so many things in my brain. Okay, let me just say this. Let me go here. Sometimes it's hard for me talking to the camera and then reading questions in my brain. But cannabis, for example, helps with Parkinson's disease, right? So somebody's just shaking, and the person's just got a shake problem, a nerve problem, right? Any issues with your nerves or your brain, like you can't think straight, your mind is foggy, you might be depressed, you have a hard time dealing. All of that is a sign of not eating enough of the right fats or cholesterol. Okay, because the long chain omega-3s help send, the brain sends signals. Arachidonic acid, very important for that, and cholesterol, because all of our hormones and synapses and stuff like that, cholesterol. So any type of neuropathy, shaking, mental distress, not being able to think straight, all that stuff is a sign of that. Okay? So yeah, like somebody could be in a plant-based diet and having these issues, like I'm going to use cannabis, and cannabis is great. I believe in cannabis medicine. But if you're taking it for something, an illness that is due to an endocannabinoid system deficiency, if you're treating an illness that is due to an endocannabinoid system deficiency, it's like, well, why do you have that problem? Because that's not normal, and that's your body's off balance. So you first want to get your body on balance with the foods, so because your body produces endocannabinoids, right? Now, if you're using cannabis medicine because you got an accident, you had surgery, okay, you are an athlete who's putting a lot of stress on your body, then in that point you need painkiller anti-inflammatories. That's not due to an endocannabinoid system deficiency. The reason why you have those issues right now is not because of that. Those are more acute injuries. When you have a long chronic injury and one that is considered an endocannabinoid system deficiency illness, then I'm almost sure that your nutrition is not on point, that it's lacking. Can you use lard every day and not olive oil or seed oil? Using lard every day is better than using olive oil every day. I don't know, olive oil is okay. It's good for you, but it's not super important. It's not what you need for your brain and your hormones. And if I cook with olive oil, I will cook it with butter, because I'll combine it with something. But lard is very similar to olive oil, but it's more stable. Because lard has a lot of oleic acid in it. And that's what olive oil is very high in, is oleic acid. It's just that lard has a little more saturated fat, which makes it more stable to cook with. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, definitely check out my video. It's on my YouTube page and my Instagram page about what are the best fats to cook with. So definitely check that out. And Jessica, I wrote down your question on my laptop and it died. I know you asked me about something. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. So, yeah. I've probably been talking long enough. But again, this is why I'm saying that I'm about to start doing a series of videos on cooking with cannabis, because if people are using it medicinally, like if you have, diabetes, or you're an older person, or you have cancer, you have joint problems, mostly anything, you don't want to be eating it with sugar, okay? Because sugar is bad for all those conditions. But if you made a steak and made a cannabis-infused buttery sauce, okay, or a seafood dish with cannabis-infused butter all over it, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you have to understand the dosing. You want to work with a cannabis coach, somebody who can coach you through that if you don't, you're not familiar with it. And that is what I'm going to start working on, a series of courses with the chef, Diego La Diosa. You can find her on Instagram, because depending on the health issue you're dealing with, some people need to consume it. You have different effects. There's different effects on the body, and whether you're smoking it, ingesting it in an oil, or you're rubbing it on topically, or you're using a tincture, they're all different. And not all methods are suited for every body or every condition, right? But for certain things, people do have to ingest it, and you're much better doing that in, some broth even, okay? Putting it in some broth. Somebody could have surgery and, put some cannabis oil. It could be butter, it could be cannabis-infused coconut oil into the broth, into a brothy soup, a collagen-rich soup. That would be something great to give to somebody who had cancer, somebody who is recovering from surgery, okay? Okay? So, yeah, that's that. There's a difference between chronic illness and disease and acute illness and disease. Acute injuries. Acute injuries are like you got into a car accident. You got into an accident on your bike. You tripped or you did. That's different than people who are struggling with chronic diseases every day. Chronic diseases means something in your body's off balance. And the first thing that people should look at is what they are eating. And a lot of times the nutritional propaganda that is pushed when it comes to eating a healthy diet, anytime I see anything about a healthy diet or nutrition, they always have a picture of fruits and vegetables. They always have a picture of fruits. They don't ever have a picture of raw milk, of some egg yolks. They don't have a picture of some liver or some other organ meats. They don't have a picture of a cup of broth, okay? Those are the things that really matter. Not the apple and the corn and the avocado, okay, that they always have in the pictures. The carrots, okay? That's just, to me, to break up the food a little bit. Not the necessities, not the most nutrient-dense foods at all, okay? So that's very important to understand. So I'm about to leave this here. I just feel like I just noticed a gap in the cannabis world of people who are really into cannabis medicine and totally missing the fact that endocannabinoids are made from animal fats. And I just love this. I just love it because I was already I'm already so passionate about the body performing at its highest level. I'm already passionate about homeostasis and not using pharmaceuticals. I'm already passionate about looking at the reason why something's off balance and looking at ways to bring it back in. And it always goes back to the building blocks, okay? The building blocks. What, is this person getting, where are the vitamin D levels at, Are they getting the right fats they need? All those questions. So I think I made my point. I'm going to stop talking. Now it's pouring right now in New York. It was just so sunny and hot. Now it's pouring and all this rain is coming in the window. So I'm going to go If you learn this video, please like it. If you learn something from this video, please like it and share it. Please follow me on Instagram. Please follow me on YouTube. And have a great day and stay tuned. And bye, people.